Okay, so today we're going to talk about React components. Components are something very fundamental in React because they allow us to don't repeat code. So, for instance, if we go to Airbnb and we click here on the calendar, we click here and then on the checkout as well, we can. This piece of code is a component. You are seeing it twice, but it was only written once. And we are going to see how this happens. So now let me just delete this. So I'm going to create some movies. So can someone tell me a movie, please? Favorite film? Jurassic Park, for instance. Oh, sorry, just a second. So let's create a div. Then inside we have the title, Jurassic Park. And then, do you know the year? 90 something, right? 93. Oh, so year 93. Let me encapsulate this into another div. So if now I want to, so let me check that this is being displayed. I have it here. So if now I want to display another movie, so I have to do it again. So I have to create a div, then inside another div with the title, favorite movie, VJ. Memento. So like this, right? Memento. Then let's say the year 2000. Okay. And now, so it's rendering. So let's create another one. So, Chandan. Die Hard. Like Die Hard is like this, separated. And the year maybe 90s? Yeah. 95. Okay. So now we have 3 movies, and we can see that they have some repeating parts, like they have some similar structure, right? So if we create, so first of all, let's say I want to modify, I want to make the title bold. So there is a tag in HTML that is strong. So we wrap everything in that tag. It's going to be bold. Yeah. So, but imagine we had 1,000 movies and we had to do that for each movie. It's not very practical. So instead of doing this, what we can do, we can create another function. Let's call it movie. And return. And here I'm going to put the same structure as we had before. So we had this movie. So basically I created a function with the name movie that is going to be our component, and I'm going to render that component inside the app. So the way to do it is I just type the name of the component, and now if we go to the screen, we can see that we have it here. And now imagine I want to render, like, I don't know, a lot of movies. I just have to type it again, and you see, it's much easier. So now if I want to modify something, I can modify it on the component, and the changes are going to be, let's say, I said it's on year 95. So changes are going to be applied to all of the rendered components. So right now we have the same movie. How can we dynamically render its different movie? Because we want to keep the parts that are common to all of them, that are repeated on the component, but then, for instance, this title, we want to change it, right? So the way to do it is we open curly braces, and then inside we need to pass something called props, and let's call it title. So this title is coming from here. It's an attribute like we saw the other day. So we just create the attribute, and then we pass the name of the movie, Jurassic Park. Okay. Now, if you see here, props is not defined because we need to pass it here as well. So props. So yeah, here it is. So it's been rendered. And we also need to do the same thing with the year. So what should I type now? Curly brackets. And props.year, yes. And will this be enough? So maybe we need to pass here the prop, right? So we create the year, and then we say the year 1993, and yeah, and that should be it. No, yeah, you see, title Jurassic Park, year 1993. So now we need to do this for the rest of the movies. So we had Memento, year 2000.
So was that a mistake, or was it you intended to spell part B and part C?
Oh, sorry, yeah, it was a mistake, my type. So like this, right? So 2000, and then here is Die Hard. The year was 1995. Okay, so now let's delete what I had before. I only have the components now. Okay, let's see if it's being rendered, and here it is. Any questions about this? No?
Can you see the advantages of creating a component?
Okay.
Can we discuss them? So why
Yep.
would you suggest to create a component rather than
So
You can use it. So you don't have to keep, otherwise if you keep doing that sort of like every single time we miss something.
If you wanted to remove bold, for instance, you just do it once.
Imagine that you are Netflix, you got 3,000 movies, and you want to change the size of the title. Obviously, Netflix don't do that 3,000 times. That would be absolutely error prone. Yeah, they create this type of template. They customize the template depending on the data, and that's it. So to me, this is probably the main reason why React became so popular, because the concept of the template is, or the component, as Esteban explains, is very powerful. Within the next weeks, we'll see more advanced usages of components, but yeah, how the template works.
Okay, so now I'm going to create the exact same thing using a different syntax. So I'm going to create it. So let me just comment this out. Oops, sorry. No. So there is something called stateful components. So what I did so far is a stateless component. I'm going to create a stateful component that is a bit more complicated, the syntax. So you have to start by typing class, then the name of the component, extends, and then react.component. And inside this class, we're going to have a method called render that is going to return what we want to render. So we do before, and then we can just copy and paste it. Okay. So yeah, now I need to fix the props. So the props with stateful components, the syntax is a bit different. We have to type a this before. So this dot props dot the name of the prop. Okay. Now let's check that it works. So, yeah. So we can see that it works. So for this workshop, I'm not going to go deeper into the reasons to use this syntax, but until February of last year, the only way to do some things were using this more complex way of type the syntax that are called stateful components. Now you can use something called hooks, but we will talk about that in the future. So on a class component, we can have a constructor as well, and then it has to take a super function. This is, we can consider it as a boilerplate just to make it work. And then we have something called lifecycle methods, for instance, component did mount. Yeah, so I'm doing this just to show you the flow. So first of all, in a class component, in a stateful component, the constructor method is going to be invoked, then the render method, and then after the component is rendered, as semantically it says here, after it's initialized, it's going to run the code in component did mount. So I'm going to make, should I do
No, I think that
breakpoints?
No, just leave it like that, because we'll talk about the differences between stateful and stateful.
Okay.
So you can say two different ways of doing the same thing. So which one do you prefer? Do you prefer the function approach or the class approach, and why?
So let me, sorry, just go back. I want to delete the component did mount, constructor. So we have this. Let me just zoom it out a bit. We have this class component and we have this function component. I think it's much simpler with the function, right? You just type function, then you pass the props, then props dot the name of the prop, and that's it. Sorry?
Function, if you use the function approach, you write it every time.
You write it every time? No.
So if you use the class, then you can use the use of the class elsewhere.
Ah, you mean like extending a new class, like inheriting the class?
Yes, you can extend it.
Yes, but for the use that we are giving it here, we don't actually. So basically, this component, each time we want to use it, we just need to write the name of the component, and then that's it.
There is something interesting here. The reason why we got classes. Historically speaking, JavaScript didn't support classes. That only started happening in 2015. But interestingly enough, the majority of the new frameworks and libraries created in JavaScript are maintained by former backend developers, mostly Java developers. For instance, Angular, you heard about Angular, this was created by a Java developer. It's a JavaScript framework, which is a bit mind-blowing. The thing is, because the Java community, and the backend community, to make it a bit more generic, had a lot of influence on modern JavaScript tooling, you can see that many of the coding styles are inherited from backend developers. For classes is a good example. We never had classes in JavaScript until 2015. However, now it is possible to create classes to deal with your components. That was highly controversial back in time because, as Stefan explained, I hope everybody agree, at least talking about this particular example, a function is just much simpler. And even if you cannot appreciate the difference in terms of complexity, there is a single keyword making the class a nightmare to work with. Do you know which keyword is going to ruin your coding experience more than once, unfortunately, within the next months? Correct.
Yes.
This is a pain in the ass. That's the worst thing ever happened. It doesn't seem any dangerous, but as soon as we start talking about the state, and the state means I want to display something, for instance, a counter. Every time I click on a button, I want to increase the counter. Something as simple as that. You will see how painful dealing with what we call lexical this is. So one of the advantages of functional components, the one at the bottom is, as you can see, we don't have any reference to the lexical this object. Historically speaking, whenever you wanted to create a complex component, we had to use classes because classes were more powerful. But within the last year, the main change in React has been the ability to create complex components using functions. Long story short, pretty much nobody uses classes today when dealing with React. If it helps as an example, last summer, we did a coding challenge like the one you did here last week with 45 senior React developers in London. After the challenge, I realized that pretty much nobody used a class to solve any of the problem. So we'll see in the next weeks how do you deal with more complex use cases scenarios, both using classes and the equivalent alternative using functions.
Okay. So, any questions? Oh, I think I'm going to leave it here.
That's it. Thank you, Esteban.
Thank you.
We have a